I know we have Michael on the slide, but I'm remembering it's Mike.
Mike.
Mike, thanks for being here, Mike.
Pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about you and Copper and the team, and let's get into it.
Yeah, so Copper is a crypto-native custodian. So, we didn't sort of spin out from any of the big banks or anything like that. We're in place really to support, safe custody of assets. I know it sometimes goes against the grain in the room, but listen, if we want Bitcoin to be adopted in the way that we all want Bitcoin adopted, we have to protect pristine collateral, and that's what we view Bitcoin as at Copper. We have various solutions for the trading firms, etc., that trade in this space. And one of the most important ones is Clearloop, which allows Bitcoin, which is pristine collateral on all the exchanges and for derivatives transactions, to remain in safe custody at Copper. It never moves. We have technical integrations and legal agreements that protect that asset. The only time it ever moves to the exchange is if there's a P&L event. So in short, protecting against the FTX saga.
Gotcha. It's a great overview, thank you. And I want to get right into the special announcement. This is something my team at the Stacks Foundation has been working on, Rena from Trust Machines, and lots of other people I should give shout outs to. But for those that maybe have missed the news yesterday, do you want to talk a little bit about what happened?
Yeah, so we're very proud to announce that we've integrated Stacks. We're the only custodian to do that. We have our lead engineer in the room that did it there, Andre, well done, man. So, why are we doing that? We really want Bitcoin to move around and circulate in a very, very safe way, and we're behind everything that Stacks is doing. So, in essence, that Bitcoin that is there as the layer 1, and then Stacks as the layer 2, will keep that Bitcoin safe at Copper, and then we'll support everything that the Stacks Foundation is doing. The Nakamoto upgrade, all these things are going to be there, and we'll support them every step of the way.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I want to highlight something. For those in the Stacks community in the audience, who's familiar with Nakamoto or SBTC upgrades that are on the way? A lot of you. Great. Okay, so something that I don't want to get missed in the news here is that Copper has come out as the first kind of major player to say that they're going to support the upgrade. Nakamoto and SBTC, this is going to be a really deep integration. It supports all the SIP10 assets, so any projects built on Stacks going forward. It supports stacking. I know you guys have had some new interest in stacking, which is great to hear.
Literally, as soon as, beforehand, so what happens with our clients, they'll come in and say, can you support a particular asset? As soon as Stacks became sort of awareness in the market, 4 or 5 hedge funds straight away, can you support Stacks? So, yeah.
That's great to hear.
It's picking up pace.
All right, so we're at Bitcoin Unleashed, so we should talk about Bitcoin a little bit more, I think.
For sure.
I'm curious, it seems like it's fairly clear Bitcoin has had one of the most interesting years in a while. What's Copper's perspective on Bitcoin, sort of at a high level? Do you guys treat it differently than other assets? Does it have a special place in your heart? Tell us how you guys view it.
I mean, look, we view Bitcoin as, it started everything, right? So, it was the innovation that allowed finality of settlement. It's the innovation that allowed you to manage your own assets and manage your own private keys. I mean, even the way that we distribute our key shards at Copper, one of them can be given to the person that owns it, the hedge fund, the client, etc. We have trusted third parties. So I know, look, in the room, not your keys, not your Bitcoin, but we try our best to be true to the principles of Bitcoin in the way that we've distributed our technology. What do we think of Bitcoin? I mean, clearly, it's the pristine asset. When you look across the exchanges, every single exchange accepts Bitcoin. It accepts stable coins, it accepts Bitcoin. So when you have an asset of that quality and, the hash rate continues to grow, the halving's coming, etc., everything we do is built around protecting Bitcoin. And then look, guys, the altcoins benefit from that. I know the room doesn't care about altcoins, but, what we think about the altcoins really is if you want to change the rails for traditional finance, you need some of that technology to resonate. And what Stacks is doing could be an important part of that journey. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's at the heart of everything for us. We have special solutions for miners, etc., so they don't have to move their Bitcoin to trading firms or derivatives counterparts to express views that would allow them to do covered call transactions to pay their fees rather than sell their Bitcoin. So, just to give you a view on how we think about these things.
Absolutely. I'm curious that you work with so many different types of players that are kind of critical infrastructure to the whole industry. Have you seen a change in the way that they're viewing Bitcoin this year? with ordinals and the different layers that are coming out. Have you noticed any difference in their appetite, the way they think about Bitcoin fundamentally, or do you think that's still to come?
No, I mean, look, I think anyone that was in the space, views Bitcoin, if you were early, and a lot of the hedge funds we have, so let's talk about the type of clients we service. So, I mentioned miners, very important to everything that goes on in Bitcoin, but, we have crypto-native hedge funds, and they tend to be more minded like the room here, right? They're managing their own assets, etc., and they just use us for that exchange connectivity. But the big hedge funds that got to the space early, Brevin Howard, the proprietary trading firms like DRW, etc., they really value Bitcoin as, an asset that they will hold on balance sheet, they'll hold in deep cold storage, whereas some of the other assets, as we all know, they're just trading them to harvest P&L. So it has a very, very different profile. It'd be interesting to see how it kind of resonates in DeFi once, Stacks and all the different builders that are working in this space. Like, we'd love to see that become, what's going on in the centralized kind of world, happen in DeFi as well. And we have very, very specific solutions for that. And Stacks is going to be very helpful in the way we do that, i.e. keep the asset at Copper, operate in DeFi, only move it to DeFi if you have a P&L event.
Mm-hmm. I think Bitcoin DeFi is going to be a hot topic throughout the day. I'm curious if you, in terms of how Copper views that, is it just waiting for it to happen? Is it inevitable? Are there challenges in the way of a kind of mainstream Bitcoin adoption besides sort of the run-of-the-mill things we've talked about today in terms of layers? Or what are maybe some other missing pieces?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we can get quite dogmatic about things in that, DeFi is fantastic because it has democratized access to finance for everybody. It's a very strange asset, crypto, and particularly Bitcoin, because it allowed participation for all of us first. Normally, IPOs, etc., they're given to the hedge funds and the big asset managers first, and then all of us get a bite at it later, right? We all got the bite at this asset first. So from a DeFi perspective, what we're now seeing is, DeFi is new. There's all the hacks with bridges and all these different things that have happened. And, a lot of the protocols have come to us in the last 12 months saying to us, listen, we've heard about what you do with the centralized exchanges, i.e. keep the asset away from the exchange unless it's absolutely needed for settlement. Mm-hmm. Can we work together to change the protocols or put a solution in place where the asset is held at Copper and they can operate in DeFi? Why is that important? It's a different structure, right? If you're operating working in a lending pool or on an AMM or something like that and you get liquidated, it's your asset. You made that decision, you're a retail customer. If you're a hedge fund and you've bought Bitcoin and you're telling someone, I'm going to get a target return for you on Bitcoin of 15% annualized, and you put that into a lending pool and the market moves quickly, you don't want that Bitcoin liquidated, right? They want that Bitcoin. So the way we work is to have the asset at Copper and then work with some of the DeFi protocols to say, look, from an institutional perspective, give these guys a chance to collateralize the account again, right? Retail, you can get liquidated if you're happy doing, but the institutional side want to stay holding that Bitcoin. They're convicted. They want a chance to top up. Yeah. So that's the big change is we're seeing DeFi somewhat pivot a little bit institutional in thinking. So, totally decentralized, but how do we operate and bring that world in so they feel comfortable operating in that space?
Yeah. It's interesting. It seems like you and the team have a pretty native understanding of the Bitcoin ecosystem. I'm curious if that's kind of always been the case at Copper, or if that's something that as this movement to build on Bitcoin has grown, that the interest in your team has grown. I'd maybe share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, where I work on the institutional side of things, the big thing that needs to be achieved really is you've got to harness the kind of knowledge, the technical skills that someone like Andre has, and we have great engineers, we have great security staff, and then you have to blend that with, you're not going to want to hear it, folks, but I used to work at an investment bank, you have to blend that together and come out with the right solution. So clearly the way investment banks do things is not what everyone wants, it's not equitable, it's not what we're looking for, but Copper, to answer your question, tries to blend the best in breed of, crypto natives, blockchain natives like Andre, and then the finance teams together. So, we have some interesting chats. We respect each other's knowledge. I mean, I wouldn't dare tell Andre how to do anything. I don't know what he does, but I respect his knowledge. And we work together to put these solutions together. So a lot of it is crypto native, blockchain, native folks. And then I came in because my existing client base that I worked with for 25 years were pushing towards this space. And if they move, I followed them my whole career. I figured it made sense.
I think that resonates a lot. There's sort of this tendency, and especially in the Stacks ecosystem, but the newer Bitcoin builder movement, that hey, we should allow for safe ways for everyone to experiment and build in the way that makes sense for them, build in the way that makes sense for the customers that they're serving. Yep. So it's great to see you guys are so far ahead of the game on some of that stuff. I'd love to talk quickly, we have just a couple minutes left. One of the things that was great about starting to work with your team is that some of our Stacks teams had already been in touch with Copper, yep. And there's some exciting teams I'd love to give a shout out to. I don't know if they're in the room yet, but Higher Vibes comes to mind, Sustainable Bitcoin Protocol. Tell us more about your relationship with these teams, how you see this integration helping them, and then maybe some other teams you're excited about.
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's the ethos of how we think about things. So when the Sustainable Bitcoin guys came to us and told us about their project, it's fantastic, because one of the criticisms, which we all know is not accurate, is that Bitcoin mining is not sustainable. Couldn't be further from the truth, right? We know the rigs are mobile, you can use sustainable energy. It's probably the only thing that you can just pick up a rig and drop it wherever the sustainable energy is and generate a return. So it's a misnomer, but in the traditional space, if you want to launch a hedge fund and raise money, and by the way, we should want that because that's going to grow Bitcoin, it's going to grow the price of Bitcoin. The sustainable guys came up with a fantastic solution, which is you have your Bitcoin that you've bought, you've got your strategy with the Bitcoin, and if you want to prove that this is a sustainable Bitcoin, you have one of their tokens as well in the account, which is linked 1-for-1 to Bitcoin. So, we could see the value prop of that straight away. We integrated it quickly, and now we're working with those folks to get it across the hedge fund community, because they will literally open up a Bitcoin fund, and it needs to be ESG compliant, right? And the sustainable guys can do that. So look, we look at every project in the Stack space and try and work out what is the utility. Is it something down in DeFi? Is it lending? How can we help there? Is it in the traditional space? How can we help there? But I guess the main principle is protect the asset, protect the Bitcoin, protect the Stacks. Then how do you get that to kind of move across the ecosystem?
Yeah. This reducing a lot of friction.
Correct.
So are there teams beyond the ones we've mentioned that you're particularly excited? It doesn't have to just be in the Stack space or the Bitcoin space, but what's come across you lately that's got you excited? I
was speaking to Rena 2 days ago, and it's very, very interesting for the community here. The DeFi space, the EVM DeFi space that, have all the lending pools and all that type of thing, they're kind of waking up and interested to do partnerships with the Stacks community, et cetera. So, we will just have to monitor that situation and work together on it. But I do see there's going to be a divergence, particularly with the innovations that Stacks are bringing to the space, where the EVM community, Ethereum, what goes on in that space and what Stacks is doing, you have your own solutions, I get it, but some of this stuff is going to cross over, and that is also healthy if it's done in a smart way, right? Yep. Dollars are fungible. We want the asset to be fungible. We want it to be safe. It's a smart thing to do.
Absolutely. All right, and last but not least, I think a lot of us are traveling. You're London natives here at Copper. Tell us what we shouldn't miss in the city while we're here for Bitcoin Unleashed.
Well, the weather's not going to be kind to you, but if if I was in London, I'd be down at the Tower of London. It's nice to go and see that. It's a beautiful walk along the Thames, etc. So, look, London's a great city if the weather's being decent to you. Enjoy it, folks.
I'm from Seattle, so I'll take any good weather.
You know.
All right, we're out of time, but for folks that maybe missed the news or wandered in late, Copper.co.
That's right.
Go to the news page. It's the first thing up there. You can read more about the integration, how it supports Stacks and Bitcoin-based projects. And Mike, thanks for the time. Thanks for being here.
Absolute pleasure.
Appreciate your support of the whole ecosystem. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you.